Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you my official review for Dragon Ball Super Episode 23. Now, of course, if you haven't seen this episode, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into this episode of Dragon Ball Super. Now, first off, let me point out the obvious. Why did I not review last week's episode? I'm pretty sure that's a question that hopefully some of my subscribers or viewers were asking themselves as to why I did not review that episode. Now, was it because I despised that episode? Not really. I mean, to be granted, last week's episode wasn't the greatest episode of all time, and plus Gohan, really? Come on. That whole nonsense was just stupid. But regardless of any of that, it was a pretty decent episode. The only reason I did not review it is because I was exhausted that week. That week I was just so busy, and then when that Sunday came up, when I usually do my Dragon Ball Super reviews, because, you know, for those of you who don't know, I watch Dragon Ball Super Saturday, and then I review it on Sunday morning. And then I post it in the afternoon. So that's how my Dragon Ball Super stuff videos work. But on that specific week, and that weekend, I was just so incredibly tired. The second I woke up that Sunday morning, I just couldn't do it. I just went right back to sleep, and I just slept in all day. I was going to do it, but I was just too exhausted. So that's pretty much the reasoning why. I know that's not really anything amazing, and it's possibly very disrespectful to people who enjoy my Dragon Ball Super reviews, but at the end of the day, it was just a horrible week last week, and I was just incredibly busy and tired and exhausted to do a Dragon Ball Super episode review. So I hope you can keep that in mind, and let's move off of that and get into the actual review. Now, for this episode in particular, of course, we get some very interesting parts, but The big thing that kind of stands out to me when it comes to this episode is that nothing really happens in this episode at all, and the only time it actually picks up is at the halfway point when Goku and Vegeta actually arrive at the battlefield. Now, if you haven't seen last week's episode, then spoilers, obviously, but overall, it pretty much takes place after Piccolo gets decimated by Frieza's attack, trying to protect Gohan after the biblical just downright trolling of Gohan last time. And now Gohan, of course, is pissed off. He's saddened that Piccolo has taken this fall, and of course starts to power up, and doesn't really achieve anything but just powering himself down. And at the same time, you have Goku and Vegeta, who are continuing their training over in that weird vortex god key chamber thingamajig that Whis put them in, which was very interesting. I always enjoy Goku and Vegeta training sessions because they're always the more interesting sections, because I guess deep down in my heart, all I really want out of Dragon Ball Super is just one more extravagant, biblical, badass fight between Goku and Vegeta. I feel like that's something that could happen at some point in this show, but God, would it be... I mean, like, it wouldn't make that much sense, considering the fact that, you know, at the end of Dragon Ball Z, it's kind of implied, if you will, that they didn't really fight after the Buu, sagas, the Kid Buu fight, if you will. So, I don't know. It really depends if Dragon Ball Super at any point actually exceeds the end point of the manga and anime of Dragon Ball Z. But we'll find out at some point when Dragon Ball Super is done with both this saga and, of course, the Universe 6 saga. But that's thrown aside. Overall, the Goku and Vegeta parts have to be my favorite parts out of this episode alone. Everything else that has to deal with Frieza, Ginyu, and the rest of the battle, and the Z Warriors and what have you, Z Fighters, just really wasn't up to par. It was very boring. I hate the look of Gohan. I know a lot of people were okay with it, but you know what? I have to put it out there. I know this has been a recurring complaint, but I just cannot stand this new style of animation and artwork that Toei Animation has done for the universe of Dragon Ball, it just does not work. I don't really like it. I mean, like, it worked for the movies because there's a budget there, and obviously there's a lot of work that goes into the movies, but when it comes to the TV show, it just does not look good. I mean, like, a good example of this is the spoilers, but the point where Gohan is powering himself up, and he's like he's just powering up. It's not really anything that amazing. He's just standing there, just powering up. He becomes a Super Saiyan, and then pretty much exerts all of his power because Gohan sucks now, and that's it. He pretty much powers down. But he looked so terrible doing it, which is so disappointing. I mean, like, when a DBZ character is powering up, it's the most extravagant, epic thing in all of anime, but it looks so stupid looking, and Gohan looked extremely skinny. Now, granted, Gohan, as he is in the Resurrection F saga, he looks pretty thin as is. I don't know what Akira Toriyama was thinking when he was designing the look of Gohan for the specific saga, or the movie alone. I don't know why, considering, like, in Battle of Gods, he was, his regular buff, self like he was in the Buu Saga, but then in this movie, he's super thin. He's like a paperclip. I don't know what the fuck happened there. I don't know what the heck he was drinking at this time when he was designing the fucking characters for the movie, but whatever. I don't like it. I personally, the suit is whatever, the hairstyle is whatever, glasses, if you like it, fuck it, who cares, hipster Gohan, whatever. But at the end of the day, why is Gohan so thin? And I don't like that, how they done that for every other character. Like, I mean, even look at Goku. Like, Goku's pretty freaking buff. And I know they try to keep the tone of Goku and Vegeta when it comes to their physique, that they're actually pretty muscular and buff, but they're so toned down from how they looked previously in other sagas, it just doesn't work for me. And that goes for everything else. Like, the animation and artwork just does not work with every other character. It just looks terrible. And at the same time, I also really have not been appreciating this, like, very PC, kind of PG look for Dragon Ball Super. Now, granted, it's for TV. I can understand that they wouldn't go super gory, but, like, look at last week's episode. Like, they had parts where Piccolo gets his arm ripped off. He gets shot in the heart. Gohan gets shot to bits by Frieza's beams. And there's, like, no gore to any of that. Like, there's no blood. There's no freaking anything. Like, why is this happening? Now, granted, maybe it's because it's TV. I don't know. But at the same time, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how Japanese networks work. I don't freaking know. I'm not from Japan. I don't work over there. I don't know. But it just doesn't make any sense to me that they would do stuff like that. Make it very censored. Now, granted, could they be fixing that for the Blu-rays? Because I have seen some images of, Dragon Ball, Toei Animation, like, fixing up Dragon Ball Super for the Blu-ray releases. I have seen those kind of things. But at the end of the day, why can't we just have that right off the bat? I mean, granted, the Battle of God saga didn't really ask for that, because there wasn't anything that really happened. I mean, the worst thing that happened was, spoilers, but that one episode where, like, Beerus, like, shot his arm right through freaking Goku's abs and, like, put a hole in his fucking body. That was the only thing that really asked for it, And I was alright with the key fire coming out, like his godly key fire coming out instead of blood. It didn't really bother me. But when it came to last week's episode and this episode, it just doesn't make any sense how there's no blood when he's getting shot to bits all over his body and Piccolo gets shot and his arm ripped off. It just doesn't look that great. It just makes the show look cheaper and makes it look dumber, if possible, which is terrible, but that's just my subjective opinion. But at the end of the day, moving off of my complaints, Goku and Vegeta obviously end up arriving at the battlefield right at the nick of time, saving Gohan and Piccolo and the rest of the warriors, Krillin, Goten and Trunks, Tien Shinhan, Bulma, Jocko, all those guys. But at the end of the day, we don't really get anything. There's a lot of, I think this is the best way, because this is pretty much how the episode ends. It sets up the fight between Golden Frieza and Super Saiyan Blue Goku. That's what it's setting up. Although I will admit, it was pretty bitchin' to see Vegeta just decimate Ginyu with one blast. That was pretty badass, I will admit. Considering the fact that I hate the character Tagoma, I never liked him, nor do I like Sorbet. I hate those characters. I think they suck and are terrible looking. However, Ginyu, I would have liked it if he went off to become a character of his own, right? But he went back to being Frieza's bitch. So if he has to die, then Ginyu, it's been a pleasure knowing you. But you fucked up. You fucked up and you deserve to die. But anyways, moving off of that, the episode ends with that cliffhanger of them going to fight. We already know how this is going to end, so the only thing that I'm just waiting for when it comes to the Goku versus Frieza fight is, are we going to see that death beam? And if we do, I will be ranting. So be, waiting for that in the inevitable future. That's either going to come next week or the week after that. So be on the lookout for that. But regardless of any of this, let's get into, my real personal thoughts on this saga. Now, a lot of people really don't like Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. Now, the reason for that is that some people, some critics or reviewers, if you will, felt that Resurrection F was nothing but fan service. It was nothing but fan service for hardcore Dragon Ball Z fans who did not like Battle of Gods and wanted just straight up action and fighting. That was the complaint for Resurrection F. I'm not going to debate that. Well, maybe I am, but I'm not going to, destroy people who thought that. If you think that, that's your opinion, and I respect that. However, there's a reason, after watching how this saga has gone down in Super, I feel like that movie feels more valid and makes more sense as to why it felt like nothing but fan service, because this saga is so incredibly boring and just worthless and pointless. Now, I know I'm sounding super harsh when I say that, but it's true. Nothing really amazing has happened in this saga, and it's just been nothing but boring. I mean, this whole episode is nothing but talking, pointless dialogue, exhibition, just a whole bunch of just nonsense exterior shots, and just nothing actually happens to develop the story. I mean, yes, Goku arrives to fight Frieza, but that's just setting up for next week's episode. We don't even get to see a glimpse of how epic that fight could be in this episode. Not even a punch, nothing, just a power-up to Frieza's final form. We're gonna have to wait to see Golden Frieza probably 2 episodes from now. Based off the teasers, we're practically already gonna see Super Saiyan Blue. How the fuck did he become that? I don't know. Who the fuck cares? Because apparently they didn't have the time to freaking show us. Toy Animation, I'm looking at you. But at the end of the day, I feel like that movie feels more valid after watching the saga, because it feels like they wanted to create more story in this saga story, but it just doesn't work. There's a reason why Frieza has become a very oversaturated character. It's because he was so good in his own saga, in his original storyline, but now that so much time has happened past that, it doesn't work anymore. It really doesn't work. The movie was okay, it was great, amazing. I personally loved the shit out of it, but at the end of the day, Frieza, was it a smart move at bringing him back as a villain, as an antagonist for Goku and Vegeta and the rest of the gang? No. And now you've elongated that into a saga for the show, and it just feels boring. And nothing really epic has happened. That's amazing. Once again, my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it. Let me know in the comments section below what you think. Do you think the movie's better? Do you think the TV show's better? Do you think there was any point to actually do this saga? I personally wish they could have just done what the manga did, which is skip that shit and just go directly to Universe 6, and just mention it. Because the manga did perfect. In the beginning of the Universe 6 saga in the manga, they reference the Frieza saga. Whis just goes straight up and says it when Goku and freaking Vegeta, spoilers, are training in their Super Saiyan Blue transformations. Whis just goes out and is like, you guys are getting a lot stronger than when you fought Frieza. It's that's all you had to do, and I would have been happy. You referenced it, I have the movie, I can go back and watch it. I'll be alright. But no, we have to go through these boring-ass episodes with Tagoma's bitch ass and Gohan, like, whatever, and, you know, where the hell is Piccolo? Where'd he go? I don't know. Jocko's hilarious, Bulma's hilarious, Vegeta's badass, Goku is here to fucking defeat Frieza for the billionth time. Let's see what happens. But that being said, final verdict for this episode has to be a solid 5 out of 10. It's an average episode. It's not amazing. It's not great. It's not epic. Nothing really important actually happens in this episode, other than Goku and Frieza going to fight, which we already knew was going to happen. And plus, Jocko and Bulma stuff was hilarious. And Vegeta destroying that bastard Tagoma / Ginyu. Kudos there, Vegeta. You are awesome. But at the end of the day, it still was a pretty much just an average, just boring episode. It was okay to watch. Like, if you're bored and you want something to watch, then watch this episode. But it's not really going to tingle your jingles or freaking get your gears grind up, if you will. It's just more or less just something you have in the background while you're doing other shit, like homework or freaking talking to some asshole on the internet. I don't know. But that being said, comment below, let me know what you personally think about this episode. I personally was okay with it, but at the same time, I can see nothing of importance in it. But let me know what you personally thought of that in the comments section below. Follow me in Twitter, Instagram, @Jock12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been Jock12.